Hi, and welcome to the Day Trading for Beginners podcast. This is season 2, episode 1. So if you've been following along with this podcast, I'd like to welcome you back. And if you are a new listener, I would recommend that you maybe go back to season 1 and then download the 6-month blueprint. So if you're a pure beginner, again, you might want to start at season 1 and make sure that you've done everything that we've done in the first 6 months. Now that might take you, 6 weeks if you have a lot of time, or it might take you a little bit longer. But basically what we're doing here in season 2 is we're moving on to the next phase of our journey. And that is focusing on an actual day trading strategy. But if you're brand new and you're a beginner, you certainly can't really jump to this step. You really want to go back and start at the beginning. And that's what the 6-month blueprint outlines. It outlines exactly what I've done. And it's a great roadmap for beginners who are just starting out. You might need to learn the basics. You might need to set up a brokerage account. You need to learn, maybe what options are, how to buy and sell stocks in your brokerage account, and then learn about the basics of technical analysis. So again, below this video, I would recommend that you download that 6-month blueprint if you have not, and sort of start there. Now, if you have downloaded that and you've been following along, certainly I would also recommend that you go and join our community on School if you haven't joined. Right now we're having, I think, almost 400 members at the time of recording this podcast. So we're having some great discussions. Some beginners are there and learning and sharing and staying accountable and helping them learn throughout this process. So those are two things that I wanted to mention before we get started. Again, with any tools that I've used, I have recommended them in the past episodes and on our School group. The only thing I'm using right now is TradingView. So that's a trading software that you can use. If you're studying technical analysis, you will certainly want to use that. And you can find the links to that in the show notes as well. So in terms of doing a recap of what we've done in the first 6 months, the last episode of season 1 certainly went over that. So I don't want to go over that here. What I want to do here is just sort of give a outline of what we want to study or what we want to cover in this next season, this next phase of our journey. So just some reflections that I've had during the break from season 1 to now is that I found I had a discussion with a friend about analysis paralysis. So after, the first 6 months of learning for me, I didn't really want to get stuck in analysis paralysis and sort of study every single thing that there was about technical analysis. But I also didn't want to rush things. I sort of felt that personally, I had a good introductory level about technical analysis, but I feel that I didn't know enough about it to move on to a strategy. So for me, I just took, another month or so, and I reviewed a little bit more. Now you can sort of debate on, whether that's the right move or whether you should just, get an introductory level and then focus on a strategy. And then if that strategy uses various technical indicators, then you should just go and study those then. But for me, I just felt like I wanted to review a bit more. So what was not included in the first season was a discussion about some technical indicators such as the Ichimoku cloud, Bollinger Bands, and Fibonacci retracement. So again, below in the show notes, I have a link to the resource section of technical analysis, and it has all of the YouTube videos that I've made about these and other articles about these. So I would recommend that if you want to sharpen up a little bit on these technical indicators, then you can find that resource below. And again, in the blueprint, there is a link to that resource as well. So that's where I sort of left off, is that I wanted to study those tools. And I did that. I studied the Ichimoku clouds, Fibonacci retracements, which various strategies use, and Bollinger Bands. And I think now I have a better sort of overview of technical analysis, and I'm confident to move forward with learning a strategy. Now, while it is valuable, to know a variety of technical indicators, it is also important to remember that, not all strategies are going to use them. So for example, some strategies are going to bypass certain indicators and just focus on what's essential to that strategy. And then other strategies are going to rely on some of these indicators very heavily. So the Wiki, which is the strategy that we're going to initially study, what I'm going to initially study, it doesn't use many of these indicators, but there are other strategies that I've looked at that rely heavily on them. So again, there's this whole thing with, making money in the markets. There are several ways to make money. There are several strategies, and they sort of contradict each other. One successful trader will say that the Ichimoku clouds are useless, while another successful trader relies on them for all their entries and exits. So something to keep in mind. Again, when you focus on a strategy, you can hone in on some of these skills and learn more about these technical indicators. But I personally just wanted to have a good sort of level base about them all. And I'm sort of happy that I did go out and do that. So in terms of transitioning to a strategy, that blueprint that we have created, the 6-month blueprint, that serves as a really solid blueprint for beginners learning the basics. And we went over that. But then, once you get through that, and you've got a good base of knowledge, which is the stage I'm currently at right now, we need to shift our focus to a strategy. So it's sort of like you can analyze a chart, you can analyze the support and resistance levels, you can draw trend lines, but what am I actually supposed to do now? How do I actually go and make a trade? What am I going to look for? How do I find stocks? What is going to be my entry and exit strategy? And so on. So it's sort of like you learn the stuff, you understand the basics, and you've got a good introduction about all this kind of stuff. But what am I actually supposed to do now? So that's sort of the stage we're at. What we're supposed to do is find a strategy. And depending on where you are at, you might come along with the journey that I'm on and follow along the Wiki from the RealDayTrading Reddit group. But you might also go out and find your own trading strategy. So again, I'm personally going to follow the Wiki from the RealDayTrading Reddit group, which I've referenced many times on this podcast. And I will include a link below so you can get access to this Wiki. But you might find other traders or other strategies or other mentors at this stage. And I've personally found another one as well. His name is Matt. It's called The Great Matsby. He teaches a different strategy that I'm actually very interested in learning as well. I'm going to share my experiences in future episodes as well. So this might happen to you. You might be drawn to the Forex market, and you might find maybe a mentor or a private group that focuses specifically on trading the Forex market, a trading strategy specifically for that. So I think this is a normal progression that you're going to make if you're a listener to this podcast. I'm going to follow the strategy in the Wiki. I like the strategy. I like the founder. I think it's, just a trustworthy group that is successful, but I'm not married to that strategy. I might go through it and I find out that, it doesn't really fit my personality. I might want something else, and so on. So you might do the same thing. Or you might just venture off, like I said, and find some other strategy. But the first 6 months, I think we all gained a really good foundation of knowledge. And now we're going to move to a strategy. So, studying a strategy, it really involves focusing on, the tools and techniques that are going to be central to whatever strategy that is and whatever the edge is that this strategy is going to give you. So again, some strategies are going to rely heavily on indicators, while others we'll sort of say that those indicators are useless. Or, you might find out that for whatever reason, day trading might be a bit stressful for you, and you might want to position yourself as more of a swing trader or a position trader and doing more long-term trade. So again, this is a stage now where you're going to study a strategy, but don't feel that you have to go through with that strategy. You're going to maybe learn this strategy, but maybe you're going to venture off and study another strategy. But what's great is that you have a good base of knowledge to go forward with. So this question comes up a lot, and I got an email about it recently. So I wanted to share it in this first episode. This question of, should you be paying now for learning a strategy? So there are, plenty of free tools available. But when you sort of dive into a strategy, you're going to find that a strategy might recommend some paid tools. And I think that's perfectly normal. The charting software TradingView that I'm personally using, they've got a free trial, but there's also a paid subscription that if you want to use more features that you will need to do. So that's understandable as well. And even, in the Wiki, the general sense that I'm getting from that after starting it over the last week or so is that you can paper trade with that method and you don't need to buy any sort of subscription or mentorship, and you can do well for free. There's not a lot of other resources that I found that offer that, but they are open to say that, they do recommend a community with other traders that has an indicator that works well with their strategy. And that is going to, cost money if you want to do that. But they clearly say you don't need to do it as a beginner. You can, trade for the first year without doing that. But just be aware that there may come a time where you might want to buy a tool or buy a membership or sign up for a course. And I think as you move from a pure beginner to studying a strategy, that might be something that you just will need to do. So for example, as I mentioned, this person, the great Matsby on X and on YouTube, he has a technical analysis course, and I'm thinking about signing up for it. I'm going to share my experiences with it. So it's not a day trading strategy per se. It's just a great way of understanding market symmetry. So the method offers, a lot of free material he does on his channel, but there's also a paid course that I'm going to take. But I feel like I am at a stage where that is appropriate for me now. I have a good base of knowledge and I want to learn more. And sometimes, there are just courses and groups you need to buy to get access to eliminate noise, eliminate, trolls, and just kind of focus on signal and a higher level of education that people charge for. So I don't know if there's any way around that. Those are just sort of my thoughts. So basically at this stage, not all paid courses or mentorships are necessarily bad. When exploring strategies, you might need to join a private group or a paid membership to gain information. Again, that's just my feel for this stage right now. Some people in these groups are going to be genuine and transparent. Others unfortunately might not be, but sometimes the fee for these groups, it's justified because it can help eliminate, again, a lot of noise and just focus on something. You can ask direct questions to someone who is a successful trader and allowing you to sort of focus on those, quality and important signals. So perhaps in the future, we can discuss more on our group, whether, there's the pros and cons of a paid service. But again, this person, Matt, has a private course. It's not expensive. And I plan to take it just to gain access to him, ask him questions, and just learn everything that he's sort of done and what he does in terms of his trading strategy. And again, you might also need to do that, but just kind of be careful because, not all groups are good, but there are some good groups and mentors out there. So I hope I sort of explained that well, and we'll touch on that again just when we wrap up this episode. But the other thing I wanted to touch on is just some mindset and expectations. I think this is important to balance speed and realism. So, part of me personally wants to move way faster, but due to my, family commitments at the moment, I'm sort of forced to pace myself, and I've only got, a couple hours during the week. So it's important to have a mindset where, you're not expecting to become this successful trader in 6 months, especially if you have a strict schedule. So that's sort of, I've come to terms with that. I can't do this any quicker than I'm doing right now, and I'm okay with that. But I've sort of adopted this more of a long-term perspective. Many successful traders suggest that, it takes years to master trading. So again, I'm not in a rush, but I'm also trying to stay consistent and focused with the time I have available. So I certainly don't want to rush, but I want to avoid complacency. So, it's crucial to be patient, but it's equally important to not become complacent and to stay consistent and work as efficiently as you possibly can. I found that our free group on School has helped a lot with that. As soon as I was not posting every week, my productivity went down. So now I've posted more of what I've been doing over, the summer, and my productivity has increased. So being accountable just to that group is certainly something that you might want to consider doing as well. So let me wrap up these thoughts about buying courses and memberships, and then we'll wrap this episode up. So, I did make a point that, when I started, I felt that there was no need for beginners to buy any courses right away. And I stick to that thought. If you're a beginner and you're just starting, you need to learn the basics. And that's what we've done over the first 6 months. There's no point of you going and joining a mentorship or buying a course on a strategy when you don't know the foundation of technical analysis, or maybe you don't even know how to buy and sell stocks, or you don't have a brokerage account set up. So you certainly don't need to pay for any education when you're at the stage of a pure beginner. But, once you have a good foundation and you're ready to focus on a specific strategy, what do you do? Where do you go find the strategy? So I was fortunate enough to find the Wiki. It's free. It's a good document. I've learned a lot just studying it for, a few weeks now, and it's free. But it's not the only strategy out there. There may be better paid courses or mentorships out there. And I don't know if that's necessarily bad, because if you're sitting there and you've gone through the first 6 months and you have a good introduction to technical analysis and buying stocks and whatnot, you might be thinking, like, what do you actually do? You need a strategy. Where do you go and learn a strategy? And sometimes, successful traders or groups have a strategy, but you need to pay to get access to that information. I don't know if that's bad, necessarily all bad or good. The course that I'm going to take from Matt, the great Matsby, he's charging for that course. It's not expensive, but after watching him for almost 6 months, he's super real, super knowledgeable, and I'm happy to get that private sort of course from him. I think there's going to be really good value there. But, to say that he should be giving that away for free, I don't know. I think it's a tough discussion to have. I'm sure there's going to be debates. But the bottom line is the Wiki is free. Eventually, if you want to pay for the subscriptions that they recommend, obviously that's going to cost money. You don't necessarily need to do it. But, the reality is that there may come a time when you want to focus on a specific strategy, and then it might be education that you just need to pay for. So again, I don't know what the right answer is there. I'm sure we can have a debate on that. We can have a discussion about that. But bottom line, the Wiki is free. You can learn a lot from the Wiki. I'm starting there, but I'm very much open to potentially paying for courses from creators and traders who are transparent and who, I think are very knowledgeable. And I think that's a normal sort of decision or whatnot, whatever you want to call it. So I hope that I explained that well. And I hope that you found this episode useful. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about what I've been learning from the Wiki, this initial strategy, what it actually entails, how, what the edge that it offers will be. And I'm going to talk about the strategy from Matt as well, and how it differs from the Wiki strategy and how I plan to maybe combine both of them. So thanks so much for listening. I hope this was clear, and welcome back to season 2. Again, in the next episode, we're going to talk about strategy, and then I'm going to just share my thoughts, document my journey studying this strategy and maybe Matt's strategy as well. So thanks for listening. Subscribe to the podcast, and in the show notes are going to be any information that pertains to this particular one. I will include down there. So I will talk to you in the next episode.